Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, this morning before the live stream, I was figuring it's about time for me to get these two cats in for their annual vaccinations. We've been in the new house for a while now, and they had a vet before when they were in the apartment, but I want to find one that's closer to them, and I figured before I do that, it'd probably be a good idea to find out where their vet records were, because there's an extensive record trail for these two. I know you only see one of them right now, and she's trying to slink away, but wanted to pull out their vet records and see if, so I could give the vet all the information that he needed on their health history. And I happened to just be looking at their estimated date of birth, and I found out that was 15 years ago today. Today is Byte Nibble's 15th birthday. And I figured what better time than to talk about how these two ended up in my life and some of the things that they've all gone through, that we've all gone through together. So let's get going with this. Happy birthday, Byte Nibble. And it's this one's birthday too. Now, Byte Nibble didn't actually enter my world until about 5 weeks later, and I don't know what happened to them in their first 5 weeks of life. I originally had thought that maybe they had escaped their litter together and just ended up in my backyard, but I'm now convinced that somebody probably wasn't very, very nice to them and didn't want them, and I believe that they probably were thrown into my backyard. And this happened, this whole thing came together, like I said, about when these two were about 5 weeks old. And one day I was coming back. We had just finished celebrating my mom's birthday, and we were coming home from having dinner together, and I could have sworn out of the corner of my eye I saw something in the other end of the yard move, but by the time I looked, they were gone. And since my parents were there, I didn't really spend a whole lot of time working, trying to figure out what it was. I just kind of, wrote it off. I'm hallucinating or something like that. But the next day I was working in the yard, and I saw this little face peering up out at me, and turned out that they were hiding behind the planter in my backyard. Now initially I thought there was just one of them, but I looked behind the planter, and all of a sudden this face was staring back at me. And so I tried to reach down and grab them. I knew they were really, really young, really, really small babies. But I wasn't aware how young they were, and I reached down and grabbed this one, and he tried to bite me. He actually hissed at me and swatted at me, and so what I did is I went out in the garage, got a pair of garden gloves, put them on, and managed to reach down and grab him, and as I grabbed him, he turned around and clamped onto my hand, and he didn't have any strength in his jaw, so it didn't penetrate the glove, but I could definitely feel he tried to bite me. And so that's how he got his name. I renamed it, respelled it Byte, but he came into my life at that point, and he and his sister just kind of evolved into the family. Now at this point I already had a cat. His name was Cat. It's kind of an old Beavis and Butthead joke. Ask me sometime about it in the comments. And he, I had no plans of getting any other cats at that point. Cat was a great cat, and he was my buddy, and I have all sorts of funny stories about him. In fact, I'll tell you one of those stories right now. It actually involved Jordan. It was a warm day, and Jordan was over at my place, and Cat kept picking up that there was a lot of static electricity in the air, and since there was two people to pay attention to him, he kept making the rounds back and forth between myself and Jordan. And what he'd do for me is I was sitting in my lazy boy chair, and he'd come up and rub along the side of the lazy boy chair, pick up a static charge, then he'd walk over to Jordan. Jordan was sitting on the couch, and Cat would get up on his hind legs, have one paw on the couch, and would touch Jordan with his other paw and shock him. And we kept laughing because Byte kept doing this over and over and over again. He'd go back to the chair, pick up another charge, go over and shock Jordan again. And after 3 or 4 times, it's like we knew he was doing this intentionally. And he obviously had some sort of a sense of humor going on in there. Now this was before Byte Nibble came into the world, but there was overlap, and actually for probably the first 6 months of Byte Nibble's life, they were the subordinate kitties, because Cat was the alpha male in the house. Now, I'd had Cat for a number of years, and like I said, he was my buddy. Basically, the first time I ever had a cat, you may recall on the live streams, I've talked to you about my friend Matt, who has his own channel called Island Horizon Videos on the internet, and is trying to do his own little kind of vlogging thing too. Well, Matt originally at this point, and his wife and family picked up and moved to Hawaii, and they had a calico cat named Johnny Cat. And Johnny Cat, it was going to be really complicated to move Johnny Cat to Hawaii, because there was a quarantine period, and Johnny Cat would have to be quarantined for 6 months or something like that. So they elected to give Johnny Cat to me, and Johnny Cat spent the last couple of years of his life living with me. She, it's ironic that she was called Johnny Cat, but she was actually a really sweet, kind of a shy little kitty that took a little while, I think probably because at the time Matt had a small daughter, and I think the small daughter probably was a little more than Johnny Cat could deal with. So it took a little while for Johnny Cat to warm up to me, but Johnny Cat was a sweet little kitty, and like I said, she spent the last couple of years of her life with me. And unfortunately, I had to put her down because she got cancer, and that was sad. But at that point, I already knew I kind of wanted to get another cat. And so at that point, I went to the pound and I found Cat. And Cat was about 16 weeks old. I think they said 4 months. So he was about 16 weeks old. I initially saw him, but it looked like he was sick, and so I kind of, went aside and moved on and looked at some other cats. But while I was looking at the other cats, I saw one of the pound assistants all of a sudden walk up to the kennel that the cat was in and start paying some attention to him, and he just perked up, and he seemed like a really friendly kitty, and that kind of made up my, helped me make up my mind. I ended up adopting him and had him for his entire life. Like I said, he was my buddy. Unfortunately, at the end of his life, he got diabetes, and we tried for a long time to keep him going, but was unable to do that, and I unfortunately had to put him down, but not before I'd gotten Byte Nibble. And Byte Nibble, they took a little while to warm up to me. Byte became, went from a cat that initially bit me to one that became kind of the world's biggest lap cat. And if you've ever seen the way he handles himself on the live streams, you know exactly what I mean. Now, Nibble, they were both feral when I got them, and Nibble never really got to the point where she warmed up to me or anyone else, and I'm sad for that. But she's, the way I've always looked at it is Byte is my cat and Nibble is his cat, and so they kind of keep each other company, and they play together and they sleep together, and they basically just enjoy their lives together. And as you've known, I've been showing you some pictures of Byte and Nibble as they were babies and at different stages in their lives. And like I said, a lot of you just you know of Byte and Nibble. You know of them from the cooking segments. You know of them from the live streams. You know of them from the few times that they've appeared on different segments of my vlogs. And I wanted to kind of get you guys an idea of how they came into my life and how they became a part of my life. So that is it. Happy birthday, Byte and Nibble. I hope you have a great 15th birthday, and I hope you're with me for many, many more. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.